Howdy, this is the Rusted Knight. As part of episode 2, I wanted to talk about a subject: why are you angry? I've had some people ask me the question, why are you angry? Why are you so angry? And this is going to come from people who are not walking through it themselves. But all you have to imagine is whenever you're going through a headache or a toothache or any kind of pain or discomfort, are you the type of person who is jumping up and down and excited and so happy about everything that's going on? Or is that one thing causing you to be negative and not want to be around people, and it affects your sleep, it affects your eating, it affects everything about you until that thing is relieved? And all you have to imagine is people who deal with chronic pain. I can't speak for everybody, but people are going to eventually feel anger because they might go through the course of denial and not wanting to face it and accepting the fact that they can't do what they once did. When you have an object that is used to pressing forward and something stops it, it's going to butt with that wall. It's going to collide. And if it can't get through it, then there's going to be some frustration. There's going to be irritation. There's going to be friction. This is what you have to understand with those dealing with chronic pain, is that there is that frustration. There's disappointment. There is going to be denial. There can be explosions. There can be rage. There can be tears. There can be sadness. And this is the type of things that somebody who is dealing with a disability or pain is going to show or put across to others. And it's very easy to stay on the outside and have an opinion about things. And you have to be very careful when dealing with people with chronic pain, because it's absolutely something that you might not understand, but trying to speak into it shows a lot of ignorance. All you can really do with someone with chronic pain is support them and stand with them. To stand against them is having the most adverse effect that you possibly could, being on the outside. I think the job of those who are in the circles of those with chronic pain is to make sure that they are doing everything they can to succeed. And sometimes that's just being there for them and speaking with them through it. I've had very close people ask me verbatim, what do you have to be mad about? I've had someone else that I was speaking to about chronic pain, and I was telling them some past stories that I'd gone through, and they said, why were you so mad? And to me, it's really silly questions, because if somebody's going through something that's hard, to ask them such questions seems silly. Then, of course, there is just genuine curiosity and the person wanting to find out. I know that I ask questions of anybody who's going through something. It's just how you word things whenever you're speaking to someone who's dealing with an issue. You don't want to just throw solutions at them and just think, well, it'll fix everything just because I'm saying this one thing. You know, it's kind of like going to a funeral, and you go up to pay your respects to those loved ones and the next of kin, and you have no idea what to say. It's just to be simple and honest, and that's the best thing you can do, is just be support. You're not going to be the instant saving fix for people who are dealing with chronic pain. It's a delicate issue. I know that whenever people are on the outside, speculation is so easy, but a big issue when they tell you how things are, how you should be thinking, how you should be walking through things, people are so quick to just say things and just be totally confident when they really shouldn't be. And that's part of humility, is not to just think that you're going to fix everything in a minute. I mean, these people have been walking through issues for 2 years, 5 years, 7 years, 38 years. You have no idea how long they've been walking through it. And to just walk up to them and say, this is it. And this, you know, I just got everything. I've got all the solutions for you. And this is the way it is. It's really insulting, honestly. But that's just it, is there's really no situation on the planet where you should be a know-it-all, because you don't. And especially if it comes to someone else's life, you really don't know it all. Even if they tell you the story in detail and you've known them for years, to presume and take a place of just telling them how it is, it's the opposite of what should be done for those dealing with these issues. It's really something that needs to be understood. I've had family members tell me things like, this isn't God who's doing it to you. And I'm a man of faith, and I walk through my pain with God, and I have Bible scripture, and I depend on the things that I've heard from the Lord and the things that I've read in his word. And that's the only thing that I can really depend on, because it gets hopeless. You just get so upset and you fight against things. Like recently, it's always, and it seems kind of silly to me when I say it, but just helping around the house can be some of the biggest battles that there are, because that's part of being in a household, is you help your family. And you might be at a social event, you hear that somebody needs help. If you're the type of person who wants to help, you beat yourself up over that too, because you can't be there for them and you want to. I've had people who have dealt with plantar fasciitis, which is a minor thing when you're considering, because I've dealt with that. I know what it is. But you're dealing with musculoskeletal issues, spine issues, and shoulder and hips, and migraines and behavioral issues, and just the list goes on and on. Gut issues, digestion issues. It's amazing how many things can be wrong with the human body. And the same person would say, why don't you just tough it out? Like, I'm considering a cheeseburger on the menu instead of a chicken breast. It's not some quick option. It's not something that you understand first off. So to come to a person who's dealing with chronic pain and to tell them to tough it out, when I've sat and listened to the stories of how plantar fasciitis is affecting you and you have to wear specific shoes, it's kind of a big laugh to hear somebody say, why don't you just tough it out? Because musculoskeletal issues in the spine is not something you just tough out. It changes your entire life. And you have to walk with that through everything you have to do. Making a bowl of cereal can be an issue. Doing the dishes in the kitchen can be an issue. So to guys like that, pain is an option. It's temporary, and they're carefree about someone else's pain and how it is a daily and momentary issue. And they don't understand that. They think that it's this quick relief and everything's fine. It doesn't come and go. It is something that sticks around and becomes a normal part of our everyday life. Whereas to them, it's the temporary thing. I have a headache, I take Tylenol, and everything's fine. Well, that's not the case. You deal with it for years and years and years. Every day is a battle, and every moment you're dealing with that pain and that hurt. And if you do things, it causes pain to go through other parts of your body that aren't even affected. So it's not just a one part that's affected. Other things get affected. And then that means your performance that was already lower lowers even more. So I was going through a pain management course, and this was one of my favorite things that I ever had come across in my walk of pain. This was probably in 2015 or 16. It was, the woman said, if this is the baseline where every human is performing, and this is where you are with your capabilities, if you're trying to come to this level, then you're adding all of the missing parts from your level to a neutral person's level. So you're actually operating up here. So you're going to like 175% output and capacity when you should be at your, 35 or 45%. To get to the 100, you're adding 100% plus everything that you're missing down there. So you have to remember and you have to consider the fact that to be at a normal person's level and those around you who are expecting you to perform, you're actually getting up to 175, 180, 250% normal human capacity because of the issues. And then it affects them and irritates them, exacerbates them, inflames everything, and then you're worthless even longer because you're stoved up for days after. So that's something to consider whenever you want to be that just a normal person, just to be at neutral, you're actually up here. And it's a dangerous place to be in. There are some people out there I've spoken with who aren't mad, but some of us are. We all deal with the pain differently. And not for a second does that make them stronger or better than those of us who seem to be in perpetual denial of a disabled life. It's just everybody is going to deal with it differently. Their bodies are reacting differently. My level of 9 pain might be somebody else's 14 level of pain, or somebody else's 2 level of pain. It just depends on where you at, what you've been through, who you are, what your personality is. There's so many different factors. It just either means that their attention span won't allow them to lock onto it, and they're so focused on other things because they're everywhere, and their attention span won't allow them. Or they're frightfully better at moving on from things, whereas some of us have problems moving on. I don't know if you would call it begrudging or bitter or resentful, but it's really hard if you come from an active lifestyle and then everything screeches to a halt and you've just got to adapt. It's incredibly difficult. I mean, I've been walking through it for 7 years now. I just hit the 7-year mark, 2015 to 2022. Honestly, my list has just grown longer. And every day, every moment, I have to make up my mind that I'm not going to let it beat me or defeat me. And if I'm going to be transparent, it does oftentimes. I don't have the drive. I don't have the willpower. I don't know what it is, but sometimes I'm stronger than others. The one thing that I do hold on to is that I help people. Even in my limitations, I find something that I can serve others with. And even in the brokenness, the physical brokenness and the behavioral, the mental brokenness, reaching out and assisting others really brings out that fulfillment. And I know that that's something that in my faith is very important. The Christian faith is that we're taught. Jesus teaches us to serve others, lay your life down for others, give others preferential treatment above yourself. And that is something that will take your mind off of yourself and your pain, is to give of yourself to others. Me, for instance, I used to help people, and I would physically serve others because I was strong and fit and more capable than a lot of my peers. Now that I cannot do those things, and I can't even do simple chores in my own home, it is a daily struggle. 2 minutes of light-duty work and my body is radiating with pain. It isn't the pain that so much makes me angry, because I've had 7 years of that now. It is the hurt of not being able to help my family and the struggle it gives everyone around, because if I can't pick up, everybody else has to take my slack and pick up for me. And that's a problem. having to pick up my slack and make sure I'm okay. And all that comes with that is it's difficult and it's far too easy to fly into a rage about it. I really have to break apart and just walk away from things, chores or serving or helping others or whatever, and cool off, because the pain starts and that you get upset about it. And when you get upset, the pain's made worse. So another thing I learned in pain management is it's a circle. You're hurting, so you get stressed out. The stress increases the pain, which increases the stress, which increases the pain. And if you don't take a minute to calm down and to break out of that circle, if you don't remove yourself into a place of safety and calm down and focus on getting better, just in that moment, not your entire life, just that moment getting better, you're going to stay in that circle. So you really have to physically, literally walk away from the situation and calm down. And some people are better than others at showing us that support. And I recommend highly getting in touch with somebody, finding somebody you can rely on heavily to help you walk through those things. The fight is overwhelming when I used to outdo 95% of people around me, and now I can't even do simple house chores. So that's part of that denial that I was talking about, is doing before, being able before, and now you can't. Much less having a full-time job, much less helping your family and loving your kids and being there for your spouse, and everything that might have been normal at one point, everything changes. What I always say about to try to tell people how I've walked through pain is, I'm not going to approach a cancer patient and tell them how to get chemo injected into their bodies, how to take their medication that costs $10,000 a week, how to live, how to breathe, how to move, and have their being in this life. Because I am not them, and I don't have their battles. I think it's terrible to speak to someone who is suffering with cliches and to tell them how wrong they are when I either barely know them or have no idea what it is to walk in their shoes at all. And a lot of that comes with humility and realizing who you're speaking with and just treating that person with the utmost kindness, because they're dealing with battles that you don't know, which honestly we can say about everybody we ever deal with every day in life, because everybody's got something going on. But the purpose of this channel is to talk about pain, to talk about issues, talk about things in our body, and make sure that we understand, that we support each other, and that other people out there are going through the same thing. So when the question comes, why are you angry? Why are you so angry? I want to encourage you to be able to answer with patience and understanding that they don't understand. And they're asking because they have no idea the upset and the tears and the disappointment and the struggle that you have every moment of every day, and only strengthened whenever you're in pain. So not everybody might show you that kindness, but at least you can turn around and be patient with them and explain to them, even though you've had to do it a million times, I'm hurting right now and I just need understanding. So thanks again, team. Godspeed out there, and let's not give up the fight. We got to keep going. Thank you for your time.